Now I would like to give the floor our last speaker, Ms. Tatiana Gregor-Zabohatá.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, all powerful women, ladies, hello, few men. As representative of NGO, I would like to talk about women in NGO sector in the Czech Republic. I see 2 points of views how to look at this topic. First, there is a way more women in the NGO sector, especially in social services, and the reason why is that. And the second, NGOs dealing with gender equality and their support by Czech government and politicians. We know that there is approximately just around 25% of women in the Czech government, Senate and House of Commons. Unfortunately, I haven't found any research on how many women are in NGO sector in the Czech Republic, but I have been working in this area for past 10 years, so please let's take it as a little empirical research. There is way more women in NGO sector than men. We can find men in manager positions in bigger NGOs, but when we look at the local grassroots organizations, they are mostly founded and led by women. Our Beauty of Help Foundation helps the elderly. We support and finance home care social services, and in this area is the overbalance even more visible. A man as a social worker is honorable exception. So the logical question is, why is that? Quite often I hear because women are more empathic or we are more social, but is this the real reason behind this? I don't think so, I doubt that. But a part of that, we have so strong stereotypes about social roles of women and men, and also about NGO sector, which influence also our career decision. Men and women have different sides, have different strong sides, different weaknesses, of course, different skills. Too often I hear that NGO sector work only volunteers, or that people shouldn't be paid for such a work because they are paid from the gifts of other people who want to support directly people in need and not the employees. But this is just wrong thought. When we look at the social services, the stereotypes and degradation of work of caregivers is even worse. I think I don't have to explain to you what these people means for clients and patients. We need to support NGO sector to do professional work, why they shouldn't be paid adequately for great and important job they do. We need social workers to work for us to support and help us to care of our aging relatives, especially in situation when population is aging so fast. So, take these stereotypes about emphatic women and unempathetic men, take these stereotypes about NGO and social workers, and also add 22% of pay gap. What is the result? Exactly. Social workers and NGOs workers have salary which is way below the average, which also leads to lack of employees and work overload. Simply said, people think it's okay that the salary is low because there are mostly women working there and they don't need more, and actually they shouldn't be paid for such a volunteering, unskilled work anyway, so they should be happy that they have at least something. Of course, I exaggerate here, but I think you get the point. And I think this is the real reason behind the feminized NGO sector. Men just wouldn't do it for such a low salary. And sad thing is that a lot of women still believe that it is just men who need to support the family, and that is why they need higher salary valuation. I have also noticed very interesting point that one of the lowest salaries in the Czech Republic have actually people who help other people. I mean nurses, caregivers, even teachers. What they have in common is pretty clear, right? And when I say it, you probably picture women behind these professions, and that's correct. So what can we do about it? How can we break this vicious circle? We have to fight these stereotypes. We have to close the gender pay gap in general, and we have to support women's self-confidence. To be able to ask for more and to believe that they deserve same salary as men for same job position. We have to explain the importance of NGO sector also and the internal functioning of it. I know that NGO sector is relatively young in the Czech Republic, and culture of donating is still not rooted by us. So if you have any experiences in this area, I would like to discuss it with you later after my presentation. We have to keep explaining what the work of caregivers means, how hard and rewarding at the same time it is, and that it should be adequately paid. And this, of course, means also bigger support of social services from the state. We have to explain that this is not just women's work and that anybody can do it. We choose our roles, right? So we really have to raise the salary for those job positions. Doesn't matter what gender you are. When we talk about schools, hospitals, or even senior houses, they're usually not private, but public. So I keep my eyes on politicians to do something about it. The pay gap is of course visible everywhere. In business, I think and I believe it is essential to support women to want more, to be self-confident enough, to ask for more. This is definitely not the only reason behind the pay gap, but I believe it is one of the most deepest rooted ones. Which is also why we desperately need NGOs working for women and supporting the gender equality. They are fighting for us and their role is extremely important. And after all, we are speaking about 50% of our population, right? So I'm very happy that we have the Czech Women's Lobby, a network of 32 non-profit organizations promoting women's rights in the Czech Republic. They are also an active member of the European Union of Women's Lobby, which is the largest umbrella of women's organization in European Union. They open many important questions and taboos as gender-based violence. I just cooperated on a beautiful campaign to support this thing just recently, or reproductive rights of women, human trafficking, etc. And they are dependent on support from the state. One would think that the state would be really generous and support these activities and area, as we have the second biggest pay gap in European Union. And according to report on implementation of SDGs in the Czech Republic, the gender equality is one of the weakest points we have. Moreover, there is a government strategic plan for equality of women and men from 2014, which says that this is one of our priorities. Surprisingly and sadly, the reaction of our political representatives is completely the opposite. Since December last year, we hear that it is not necessary to support these initiatives, and we should rather transfer even more grants and money to support, for example, sport, where the money is currently allocated already. I find this truly frustrating, as one of the arguments is that these activities are not necessary and that they affect a limited group of people. I said before that we talk here about 50% of population. When we don't use it, when we don't use their potential, we lose 50% of our potential as a nation, as a mankind. When women will have the same opportunities as men, we all will benefit from it. Investing in equality will have enormous economic outcomes. The McKinsey Global Institute estimates that narrowing the global gender pay gap could add $12 trillion in annual gross domestic product. Well, I do believe that. Just look what women can do with limited support, with limited money. Raise the kids, take care of the family, go back to work, start an NGO, and make it work. I mean, anything. Women are so powerful, and we have to appreciate that, we have to support that. So, let me use this floor to say aloud that I think it is a mistake that we do not invest in gender equality. When we know that this is our weak point, we have to rather face it and do something for that, instead of looking somewhere else and support something else what is more interesting or pretty. So we also see amazing examples around us. Take, for example, Canada and their investment in gender equality. I love that. So why we still need to talk about the necessity of gender equality? Because it's simply necessary. We are missing our chance here. I know that I've touched very complex questions, and I really didn't have time to go deeper, and excuse me for being a bit critical towards our political representation. I know it's not easy to put money to social system because you would miss it somewhere else. However, continuous course changes are not helping us. We have strategic plan and we should follow that, right? And we have professionals at the office of the government who know what should be done. So let's just follow that and do something for that. What I expect and what I really miss and what I would love to see is a vision, a long-term vision, which emerges from our strong and weak points, not from current political situation, and which shows us step by step where are we heading to a society where, let me quote one of our clients, 87 years old, it doesn't matter if the brain is in a woman's or man's head. Thank you so much.